Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty. Arganissima.
All right, all right. Welcome back to the iHealth Radio Show, an exclusive today with a unique, special, inspirational guest that, it is a true honor to have with us today, Jessica Cox, who is a personality, a keynote speaker, and a motivational speaker, an inspirational speaker. She has I don't think I've had actually a Guinness record person on the show, and we do have one today. And again, we're going to confirm all that discussion today. So Jessica, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
All right, all right. Well, it is my pleasure. It is a true pleasure and an honor to have you. I mean, I've had so many shows before and so many guests, and we've talked about motivation, inspiration, and every unique story we had was very unique in its own and so special. But you took your case to the next level. So today we're going to bring people to a unique opportunity to understand, that if you have resilience, if you have determination, despite all the barriers, you can do and you can make your dreams come true. So that being said, the best way to do this is have you tell us a little bit about your story, that from the beginning, and then we can go from there about questions that people might have that probably would want to ask, and I'll just ask them on their behalf anyway. So Jessica, welcome, and tell us about your story. It is intriguing.
I have been a pilot now for 15 years. I'm sorry, I started in 2008. And I started training in 2005, but I do all of that as someone without arms, and I've done everything in my life. Most people know me as the pilot who flew a plane with her feet, but I also have accomplished other things. And from the very beginning, I was born without arms, and it was a very hard start in life because I had to deal with a lot of feeling like I was the only one. Like I was bullied, I was picked on, and I felt left out at times. So there was a lot of anger and frustration in the beginning, but I had wonderful parents who taught me to believe that I could do anything. And I went through life. I went to a regular public school for elementary, middle, and high school, then on to a public university, and all the while doing so many things as a kid. I mean, I started Taekwondo when I was 10, and I am now a 4th degree black belt in American Taekwondo, and I've practiced it probably twice to 3 times a week. And for me, that's a wonderful outlet for exercise. And I also got the state champion title in 2014 for my division. I've done a couple other things like surfing, scuba diving. I drive a vehicle with my feet, and I just do everything in life that most people think about, but instead of using hands, I use my toes and my feet.
Wow. I mean, I didn't mention that first part, about the ability to do all these things without arms. And, many people have challenges to do it with arms. I mean, all these things that you've achieved and you've been doing, despite growing up, as you said, I mean, I'm sure it is difficult. Unfortunately, society can be brutal. And actually, we did have a show before about bullying, and people get bullied for various reasons. And you've experienced it firsthand. And, that didn't stop you. And of course, you had the right surroundings, the environment, your parents were there for you and they supported you and gave you all the motivation as well. But you took it to the next level. I mean, I have a dear position when it comes to the martial arts specifically, and Taekwondo is something I've practiced myself. So I know that is some cool stuff out there, and I'm sure I wouldn't mess with you. But it's a great thing, and again, even achieving a fourth degree and also getting a championship, and then I mean the ultimate one is really flying. I mean that is where it is the end of the line here when it comes to like people having issues or complaining about life and whether they can do things or not. I think if people have to listen to this, they have to realize that you can do this if you want it. Anything is possible in life. What do you say to that?
I agree with you, because a lot of times we come up with excuses why we can't do it or why we won't do it. And really, it's about making that choice of whether we're going to pursue it till it's done, and whether we're going to focus in on the goal and just keep doing what it takes, figuring out a way, finding a way, and making it possible. Just like my whole theme of achieve the impossible. When I speak on stage, I talk about how all of us have these impossibilities in our head. We all have a concept of what we think is possible, and we want to achieve our impossible so that so that we feel that confidence and that empowerment from achievement. Because with that, it helps us build on more challenges. It helps us to get through the daily grind and through the challenges of having a bad day. And so that's why I always challenge people to achieve their own impossible.
And that is a very key word, impossible. And there's so many, I guess, quotations and memes on it. And the word itself says I'm possible. I don't know if you read that before, or you probably used it, but it is unique as you can see it and you can hear it, but not only that, you can really project it. I mean, you have demonstrated that, and for many people, they may think that is totally impossible. Yet it is possible. And if I am in the audience right now listening to you, I have to get up and say, you know what? I was thinking about doing this. I was thinking about doing the other thing. It is time for me to actually get up and get it done. No excuses. You're right. People put a lot of excuses for everything. And it is typical for all of us that, we just sit and say, you know what? Oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. And we always find 10,000 reasons why we can't, as opposed to 10,000 reasons why we can. So before we get into, that inspiration, motivation piece, let's go back to your childhood, your growth, and really just interacting in society. And how was it like growing up? What are some of the challenges besides the bullying part? I mean, you had to do different things, right, and learn different skills to be able to do what things that you're doing today.
Yes, I always had a difficult time with just small things that maybe some people may not think are difficult. When you think about it, you just, kind of take it with just take it like for granted. For example, getting dressed on my own was always a difficult thing. I mean, I didn't start learning how to be fully independent till I was about 11. And so it was harder for me. It takes more energy. For example, I get dressed in the morning. It takes more energy and effort for me to do that. But I figured out a way how to do that independently. And but those things are what probably most people don't think twice about, is how do you get your clothes on? And for me, it was a process of learning how to make it work when you don't have arms. But then once I did it, it was a surge of independence and empowerment of I did it. I did something that took me a long time to finally figure out.
Wow. Well, again, if there's a will, there's a way, right? And you had the will, and you find a way, and that's really what it is about, right? And you're right. So people take stuff for granted. I mean, that's something we wake up. Oh, you don't think about it, but you're right. In your case, you had to figure out a way to do this and be able to adapt and not always rely on other folks to assist, right?
Yes.
And that's a big deal. And I think this could tie us into the discussion of disability, right? And some of the biases I think out there, or stigmas, or things that people may have in their mind. you've actually crossed that barrier. You destroyed that that whole stigma business here, I think. But how did you did you encounter issues in terms of like disability access and things like that growing up and even today?
Oh yeah, there are always, even today, there are a lot of ways in which we can get better at inclusion for people with disabilities, and even in companies, like a lot of people with disabilities, it's hard to find jobs, and they're perfectly qualified, but a lot of people get hung up on the disability, and they don't see the person's skills or their knowledge and abilities to do things despite the disability. And so for me, I'm an advocate as well of making sure that the world understands that we are capable of doing some wonderful things, and reminding them that we are just as capable, and in some areas even more capable at accomplishing things. And that advocacy aspect is something that I always incorporate when I'm speaking to companies and speaking to corporations, is that we all have some unconscious bias about our encounters with people with disabilities. We have some level of that, or have had it in the past. Mm-hmm. And the best way to overcome it is to acknowledge, communicate, consider, having empathy and not pity, making sure that we use people first language and we trust. And so I use that example to share with other people, like I just did yesterday when I spoke to a group.
Wow. Well, again, it's amazing because people think of disability as such, but at the end of the day, everybody, in their own way, can experience disability. And unfortunately, people don't realize that, any one of us at any given day can experience some sort of disability. No one has a guarantee. And in your case, I mean, it was not choice, that was birth, right? But, you're right. You do see today that there's still not an inclusion across all different levels. And it depends on the mentality of people and how they see things. And some people, they just have not evolved to the point to understand that, a disability cannot necessarily be a limitation. It might have some, but again, you're a pure example of where that can be completely overcome and, no more existent, right? I mean, the highest, most of people, fly and trust a pilot, and you are a pilot, period. And now you're certified, you can pilot a plane, and you can certainly take anyone on that plane just as safe as anybody else, take it off and land it, right? So that is in itself a special, gift, I would say. So that disability and the gift now in the balance. So that's one element. Now, your surrounding, your friends, how do what is the general reaction when people realized all your achievements? Did you find people are like, wow, surprised, or really supportive? What was the experience like?
People are really shocked when they hear about my achievements, and it really opens up their world of possibility. Like, for example, I know of someone who inspired me when I was a young person, and she had a disability. And when I heard about everything she did, it made me realize, wow, if she can do that, then I can do anything I want to do. And I want to be that constant reminder for other people. And I hope that I open their eyes to possibility when they hear my story, or they hear about something I've done, and they're able to create their own possibilities.
That's strong. That's powerful. So let's talk about your Guinness World Record. Now that is in the books, right? It's guaranteed. It's out there. So first of all, again, it's an honor to have you on the show and also to talk to you. I mean, I don't think I've ever met someone who had held a Guinness World Record, and I do believe it is for a very, very, very priced, level here. So it's nothing, to even you have to give it the worth of it. I mean, this is big. It's a big element. Now, you scuba dive, you ride, I guess, the tri bicycle, you skydive. I mean, you basically do all the activities that most people were not even there. I mean, I haven't done half of the stuff you've done, and I can tell you, I mean, maybe I'm not terrified of skydiving, but it is scary. Now you fly and you skydive. So I guess the sky is the limit. There's no limit, right? You enjoy it.
Yes, exactly.
But really, I mean, you are challenging the world, and you sending a message, a strong message that you know you can do, no matter what's out there that is potentially to be done. You can do it, and you've done it. And you've done it with success. I mean, you again, just we take the example of taekwondo. You did taekwondo, right? And you're still doing it now. A lot of people do martial arts, but they never finish. And you still doing it, and you actually are still in a pretty decent level of expertise. And you compete. All these things are things that are like really achievements that all of us listening into the show should be really excited about. And take the example, take this motivation and inspiration here, and the example of resilience and determination. I think that's what it is. Willpower. All these key words that I mentioned right now, I mean, are something that we should all take to heart and should listen to and really like get excited about. And also I think one of the messages that I would like to convey throughout this show is, we have to look at everybody as equal, disability or not, and everybody can do pretty much everything that they can do, especially today with technology, with all the different stuff that we have access to. And again, you've done some stuff with less technology, and I'm going to ask you about that. I mean, I'm certain that for example, for the vehicle, I'm not sure if it's fitted differently or it's just a regular vehicle. Maybe you can tell us about some of that stuff in terms of the airplanes or even the vehicles, the cars. Is there anything unique about that? Is there any technology that's different about it that helps? Or it's really a regular car that you just use your feet instead of your arms and you do it?
Well, technology is wonderful and it's empowering so many people with different abilities. For me, I know that I was insistent when I went to get my driver's license that I have the ability to drive a regular vehicle because I wanted to rent cars. I wanted to be able to drive my parents' other vehicles or my brother's car. And so when I went to get my license as a teenager, I said, I don't want to have to get special equipment for my car. And I'd rather have it so that I can drive either way. And that's why I took my test with a regular automatic vehicle. And that way I could just steer with one foot and accelerate and brake with the other foot and drive the car like that. And that's how I got my driver's license. The plane is also a standard air coupe airplane, and there's nothing specially built about it. The design of the airplane is unique, but it was never customized for me. In fact, it was built in 1946. So it's an old airplane, and it's not built in any special way so that I can fly it with my feet. It's just standard. And for me, again, it's really, I feel like I like to adapt to the world rather than having the world kind of adjust itself to adapt to me. It's important for me personally to be independent and to do things, to figure it out.
Well, I mean, right now you just added another value here because you just mentioned that you wanted actually to use standard stuff, nothing special. You wanted everything to be just as normal, to feel the experience, just as equal, and without even adding any other, I guess, tech or tools to assist. And that's in itself another challenge, another achievement that, you have made. I mean, respect. That's all I have to say about that. So, I know parents have an influence on individuals, right? You certainly had the support of them when you were a kid, and I'm sure until today that's still the case. Now, is there anyone that contributed more towards it, or it is an equal balance between the both?
I think my parents contributed in different ways. My mom was just always there and saying, you can do anything. With God, you can do anything. And my dad was the support whenever I needed to talk to someone. He always said he never once shed a tear about my birth condition. So he never saw me as a victim. And so I couldn't see myself as a victim of a disability or a handicap. And I just thought that I happened to be different and not disempowered, but rather different and doing things in a different way. And that helped me realize not to have a victim mentality, but to just move forward, work with what I have, and be creative.
Well, that's a very, unique word you use here, about being not a being a victim, that is great because some people would say, well, I'm just a victim of circumstances. It's not fair. It's not this, not that. And they can hold on to that, right? And therefore they inhibit their own abilities as opposed to, well, like you said, different, but not, it can be done. People are different in different ways, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
and you took that and I guess that influence and the encouragement. And again, I think what I see here, what I hear from you is really that drive. You had the motivation, the drive, it's inner, it's yours. It was in you all along. You just did not accept the fact that, you want to be out there. And it could be also as you were growing up, with all the type of bullying and stuff, and you wanted to determine, to these people, hey, listen, I can show you what's up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny. I want to ask this question. Have you ever met, later on in life today, anyone that you had clashes with back in the days, or people that have hurt you somehow, and now they see you and have you, I mean, they might know about you, they might see you. I'm not sure if you met any of them. And if you were to meet one of them, what would you tell them?
I'm not really like a type of person who'd be like rub it in their face or anything, because I'm not like that. I'm just like, I do what what I feel blessed to do the things that I've been able to do. And I'm not going to, put it in someone's face that, hey, you weren't supportive or you were mean or whatever like that, because I started to realize when I was younger is that when people are mean like that, that they're having some conflict within, and whether they're battling with their own feelings of insufficiency or having a hard time with family or friends, that I shouldn't take it personally if someone picks on me, because they could be having their own battles, and that's their only way of lashing out, is to pick on someone else, because it's this power struggle. And I know that if I were to meet someone who maybe was one of those bullies when I was in middle school, for example, I remember in middle school having someone in PE class pick on me, and she got all the other girls to laugh at me. And I was like, I remember how hurt I was and how crushed I was, but I wouldn't make an effort if I met her today and saw her today. I wouldn't make an effort to rub it in her face. But so I kind of just let that stuff pass, kind of just let it slide. It's hard, it hurts, and it becomes traumatic for us personally, but you can't hold on to it, because that just becomes baggage that's unnecessary.
Well, I can tell you, whatever that trait you have is humbling, and you are a humble person, and you have evolved to the highest level of humanity. Because to your point, you don't have to rub that in nobody's face. I mean, your achievements already speak for themselves, right? And it's unfortunate that someone today, and and by the way, your story can be related in a lot of different ways. And anyone that's been bullied for whatever reason, and people look at them or look down on them, or whatever the case may be, when they evolve to this level where I'm beyond this, there's no grudge. I have a better personality. It's a signature there. That is actually a true level of maturity, a level of being at a higher standard human. And that in itself is an achievement, because unfortunately, even in the regular world, with people, with that bullying or not bullying, people are not at that level of understanding that you don't have to rub things, with other people. If you achieve some things, you do things for you, you do things for your own, with your own conviction and inspiration, and that's about it. But that, I mean, the reason I asked that is just I wanted to see, your perspective on it, and you really, really, just elevated again to that next level. And anyone listening in, and please, I mean, think deep about that. I mean, this is, the highest level you can be as a human, where you can forgive people, don't care about the past, you move on, bygones are bygones. And it's funny, because now the other people may literally adjust, because you might be a good reason for them to realize that they sucked when they were younger, maybe they didn't get it right. Now it's maybe a shift in their life, and now they're going to have a better personality. They can become better people, and maybe even themselves inspire other people. So you don't know. So you are a messenger of good right now, and that's what matters. So again, like I said, anyone listening in, this is just a unique opportunity to get this rich experience from Jessica, because the stuff that she's been able to do, and how she overcome all these things, and how she's even handling it. Positivity is a key. Your mindset is a key. And I think you have a full formula of everything. Mindset, will, power, you name it, you have it. And that is not something that everybody can say that they have. And, you know, and regardless of disability or not, you are a complete person. And that is exactly what maybe, you know, we'd like to send to people. We can all be Jessica in her mindset, in her will, in her way, in her personality. And, you know, maybe we can't fly planes, but we can learn. I mean, that's something else. I mean, what do you say to people? Can they do exactly what you do? Right?
I say, never say never, and really to eliminate self-limiting beliefs. It starts by believing that you can do it. Other people might not want to fly, but maybe something seems equally difficult in their own mind. Who's to say what someone wants to do? I wanted to become a pilot because it was something I was afraid of. And I thought I should pursue it to show people to be courageous and to get over their fears. So everyone, to each his own. Everyone has their own impossible. Everyone has their own goals. And if they want to fly, that's great. I encourage young people to fly so that we have a next generation of pilots. But if they want to go scuba dive, that's their thing. Or if they want to jump out of planes, that's their thing. So everyone has their own personal take on things.
Well, I it's funny you answered the question. I was going to ask, why flying specifically, and you did answer it. You were afraid of flying, and you know what? You conquered it. Not only you did it, and now you have a record. As a unique person doing it. So hey, that is great. Now, people may not know this, and I'm not, maybe tell us more. Now, you were in a documentary, right? The right-footed documentary or something like that?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So can you tell us about that experience, and what was it all about?
Sure. It took 5 years from start to finish for Nick Spark. I give him a lot of credit for such an amazing job that he did. We met, I think it was like the previous year before he started this project. And it was like he had to fundraise, he had to put this whole thing together, and it was a massive project. I mean, we see documentaries and we see shows and we enjoy them from the comforts of our home when we turn on Netflix or whatever, but we don't realize the work that goes into making a documentary or a movie or something. And I was able to see how much work was involved because it took 5 years. We had to raise the funds to cover the cost of making a documentary. And Nick Spark with his team followed me and my husband around, and we were newlyweds, and followed us around the world to Ethiopia to help with inclusion for children with disabilities in schools, and followed us to the Philippines after the super typhoon, which was like the largest typhoon in history, and then followed us to the Senate where we were lobbying for international disability treaty, and then followed us in our home, around our home, of course, during our wedding. And it was a process, and editing is just such a complex, that's so much time involved to edit a whole documentary together, and then finding, of course, the networks to distribute this documentary. So it was such a process and learning experience for me to be a part of this documentary making and to be the subject of a documentary. And I will say the first time I saw myself on the big screen, it was so surreal. And it was a little disconcerting, I would say, when you first see yourself on a big screen and you look larger than life. And it's like, whoa. I remember the first time I saw it when we had the first rough cut. It was an experience, I will say, being a part of it. And anyone can watch it for free now. It's free on Amazon Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, just look up Right Footed and you'll see it's about 80 minutes. And I would highly recommend it to anyone who, but have a Kleenex box handy, because it is a pretty emotional documentary.
Well, listen, I mean, sometimes it's good, let it out. We all need a good day, where we just like, be with our emotions, and, and it doesn't matter, some, people say, well, some guys don't do this, some gals don't do this, but, we're all human, and we should be able to reflect our emotions. Right. And, there's nothing that is a good documentary, something that's real, that gets to you and to your heart. And that shows that you still have a good personality and a person in you. So now that's an experience, but the experience that is the most interesting right now that we, that people might have a question about, you mentioned husband and family. So you are an advocate, you are a lobbyist, you are a motivational speaker, you are a pilot, you are a champion, and you also are a family person. You have a family. So how does that, how is your, live work, advocacy, all that, come to play as in balance here? How do you do it?
Well, balance is exactly right. How do you balance it all? It's a difficult profession as a speaker when you're living out of a suitcase. Sometimes you're moving from place to place. Like I was gone when I just got back on Tuesday, and for the previous 3 weeks, I was on the road. I went from Phoenix to Denver to Phoenix again, then to Portland, and then to Hawaii, back to Portland, back to Phoenix, and then of course where I live in Tucson. So I was like all over the place, and it was intense. It takes a lot of energy when you're kind of bouncing around like that, but balancing that with being a family person too, and it's all something I still continue to work on. I'm not perfect at it, but you do the best you can with what you have. And my profession takes a lot out of me, but I've learned to love it, and I love to be spontaneous anyways, so I can't sit still for very long. So it really works well with me to be invited to speak in all these places around the country or around the world. It gives me the opportunity to stay engaged and not, get bored.
So I know this question you've probably heard before. So how do you meet your husband? and what's different about your relationship, if any?
Well, we have a great relationship. I met my husband through Taekwondo. He also practices
Nice.
American Taekwondo. He's a 5th degree black belt, and we met when I was a 1st degree, and he was not a 5th degree, but we met at a Taekwondo school, and we had this connection. The only thing that really connected us was our love of Taekwondo, and then we started to date outside of the school. And sure enough, we really liked each other, and we were compatible, and had shared different strengths and weaknesses. And it was great because we just came together in such a wonderful way now that we can continue to do this wonderful work of motivating people, inspiring people, advocating for people with disabilities together as a team. So we're more powerful than when we were just alone. And I think that's what's amazing, is that, he doesn't have a disability, but he feels so passionate about disability and inclusion that he's become quite the advocate himself. And so we complement each other, and we're able to move through these boundaries and work ways of making sure that the world works towards a more inclusive society. It's great.
Well, you guys are doing a terrific job. I know you've gone through multiple countries, and I think 26 plus.
Yes.
Pretty much every continent. I think you might have missed one, but now you have also a book, Disarm Your Limits.
Yes.
So that's published, I'm assuming, right? It's already out. And what is the story about the book? I mean, is it your story? Is it a motivational book just to get people excited and inspired? What's the book about?
The book I have is called Disarm Your Limits: The Flight Formula to Lift You to Success and Propel You to the Next Horizon.
Ooh.
And it's really all about helping others achieve their own impossible and eliminate their excuses. And one of the things it does include many of my stories from my life, but more importantly, how it applies to the reader. and how they can overcome their own obstacles, whether it's through desire, whether it's through having courage, or having faith. And I talk in each chapter about a new thing that helps the reader get through their own obstacles in their own life.
Wow. That's a powerful book. And it's available on Amazon, on your website, or any specific places where I can direct people to?
It is available on Amazon. So if you'd like to check it out, Amazon has my book, Disarm Your Limits.
All right. Well, we're definitely going to have the description of all these items as well as your website. I think it's www.jessicacox.com. The book, link, from Amazon. I mean, these are all super things that I think that anyone listening in, please, take the time, reach out, check out, these documentaries. I mean, the right-footed documentary, definitely the book. And again, just read about, and listen about the story of Jessica here, because it is a unique story, but it's not, she's not the only one. I mean, many people have different disabilities, and people without disabilities still have challenges, and always can use inspiration in life and motivation. And this is like the best example of true motivation and inspiration, and the example of resilience and determination. So these are actually topics that I love to discuss, and I enjoy these things because I live myself with some of these terms and concepts. I try to share them with the audiences and the viewers and listeners of the channel and the radio. So Jessica, I mean, you have contributed right now, hopefully to thousands of people, where they can at least get a couple of items from your experience and from your message here, or messages. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we've been talking about here, and I think each one of those pieces can be its unique message to the folks. Now, that being said, what will be, I guess, a direct message to the audience right now, or a wrap-up message for the show to tell people, to give advice with?
Oh, for anyone listening, I just want to remind you that believe that you can do so many incredible things, and just start with that belief that you can, and don't ever give up. Be persistent, work through the challenges. Not everything's going to be easy, and the longer it takes, the harder a challenge is, the more of a reward in the end, and the more of a celebration in the end. So don't ever give up when you're struggling through something you want to really accomplish. I just want to remind you, you can do it, and don't give up, and be fearless, and make sure that you find a way, because where there's a will, there's a way, as we were saying in the interview earlier, and don't ever give up.
Well, again, I think we can end the show maybe with a song here. I'm just kidding. Don't give up, right? But definitely, I mean, these are powerful words, and I shouldn't add anything to them. I mean, they're words of wisdom. So anyone listening, please take heed to this and listen, and take those words as a true guidance in life, and that's about it. I mean, there's so much that can be achieved. So Jessica, it's been a true pleasure and honor to have you on actually the radio and the show. I mean, I will potentially have this show edited somehow, to have you on a visual as well, with maybe some pics, but certainly I think there's opportunity here to share with more people. But thank you for the time. I mean, I know your time is valuable, and you travel all over the place, and you're always busy. Just making it, for us today here, that's a privilege. Thank you so much. Folks, thank you for listening on iHealth Hurricane H here with Jessica Cox, and we'll talk soon at the next show. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.